So very excited for me. I'm here in person with JB Pawliw-Fry. JB, sir, how are you?
Oh, great to be here.
Good this morning?
I just got in this morning from North America.
I'm so excited. So just context, JP's here with the team today, give them a flavour of what he's up to and also hopefully to help us out. But let's talk about you. Obviously you deal with loads of organisations, and do amazing programmes with them. Sum it up quickly for us. What's the definition of how do you achieve great success with organisations?
I hope it's amazing work with the program.
That I know it is. But what traits do you see?
Yeah, so our work is all around helping organizations be high performing.
Okay.
And so we work with, everything from NFL, NBA, sports teams, Olympic teams to the Goldman Sachs, the Fortune 100s of the world. And I used to lecture at a business school. And so we try to use data to understand what is it that creates a high performing culture. Mm-hmm. And culture is the one thing that most people misunderstand and don't manage very well.
But it's interesting you say, to me, as soon as you say culture and data, it's like they're like data is about performance, but culture is intrinsic. And
culture is harder to get your hands around.
Okay.
We survey 40,000 people a month and have for many years. And so that helps us start to see those patterns.
Okay.
So here's a couple of patterns.
Yeah, please.
Here's the mistakes that organizations make. They think culture exists across an organization. It doesn't. It exists on teams. That's a really big difference. That's number one. Another mistake. They think the CEO and the CHRO are the ones who should own culture. That's not the way it is. It gets too big and they have so much on their plate that they kind of give up a little bit. And so culture does get created, but it's not by intention, right? It's by default versus by design. So if you change it and you go, no, culture exists on teams, and you look at your team leaders, your managers, as like the person who you want to own culture, and if you give them skills to own the culture, it's a beautiful thing.
But both those things, as you say them, you're like, my immediate feeling is, okay, neither are revelations.
Well, it is for most organizations.
So that's my thing is, why haven't organizations picked up?
I don't know. I mean,
is it you don't think there's?
Well,
is it kind of like, again, I'm speculating, but is it almost like a sense of pride that's like
a little bit? I think sometimes it's the CEO saying, "I own culture," the CHRO, but they don't. Like so in healthcare, when we do a lot of work in healthcare. You'll see one floor is completely different culture than the other floor. And we have data to back that up. Or teams, very closely aligned, completely different, culture on the team. And the best way to see it is most people report to someone, that's one team, and they, as a manager, they have their own team. So everyone's almost on two teams. And you can see the difference in culture just in those two situations. And for most people, when you point that out, and then you give them tools to both model and own the culture, actually a really great thing happens. They start to go, I can do this. I can get my hands around it. And so that's what we do. We help organizations build their culture, transform their culture in months, not years, one team at a time.
So let me ask you one last question, because it's an immense subject, but I think what's interesting to me, at this moment in time, do you think we as a society are getting better to appreciate both culture and high performance? Or are we still in those baby steps?
It's a great question. It's really organization by organization. It's some recognized we are in an 8 to 10 year mega trend war for talent.
Right.
Softening the economy, it'll be a small blip. There will be a fight for talent in the next 8 to 10 years. Those organizations who understand the value of people, understand their culture, work on their culture, build it by design, not by default, are the ones who are going to win. Because here's the other thing. The final kind of thing drives me crazy. People think culture is driven by the values that you put on the wall.
Yes.
It's not. It's actually driven, we have good data on this, by what happens in the most difficult moments. Because of something called the cortisol effect. When we're under pressure, there's more cortisol in our brain. Cortisol sears in memory. So you can be great as a manager 92% of the time. Then you hit one of those real pressure moments. There's more cortisol in your brain and in my brain. Whatever you do as a manager is what's going to sear into my brain. And now that's how I view you. And that's how I view the culture. So it's what people do in those difficult moments. That's why we need to equip those managers with tools to be better in those moments. Not perfect because it's impossible, but just a little bit better. So that's how pressure and culture really fit.
JP, thanks so much.
Oh, my pleasure to be here. Are you kidding?
So exciting. Go downstairs and enjoy yourself.
I can't wait.